So guys, it is I don't want to ruin the surprise for everybody. It is not actually July as we record this, but it will be July as people hear this. And that means that we are solidly within summer. We've passed over the longest day of the year. And the question is, how are you two going to relax this summer? Do you have any vacations planned? Do you have any breaks planned? Verbs, what do you got going on?
It's interesting that you use the term relax and summer both in the same sentence while children are at the house.
Yes.
No, I think actually just as we were talking about this before we came on live, the one thing I know we've been trying to do intentionally is just savor the weekends. So when it's not the work week, but then, making sure that a Saturday, again, monitoring those times we say yes to a gathering of some sort and just kind of really maximizing the Saturdays as a rest day. Because for us, Sunday is not a rest day. We're out, whether it's church, whether it's after church, whether it's just connecting with friends. So it could still be an active day, but just making sure that we have our weekends, have a good handle on those, as well as planning a trip down to Six Flags over Georgia.
Oh, that's
But
exciting.
yet again, I would not say that and rest in the same sentence. But it is vacation time. Fun with the fam.
Come up to Six Flags Mid-America or whatever. You'd be like 15 minutes from me.
Is that what it's called? Six Flags Mid-America?
It used to be St. Louis. I think they may change. I don't know. But
Okay.
There's a Six Flags like 15 minutes from me.
Yeah.
Not to brag. Blake, what about you?
Oh, man. I could get nausea whenever I want, y'all. Yeah, the summer vacay, we're going to do what all Tennesseans do. It gets really hot here, kind of a little swampy, a little bit humid in Nashville. And so what we all like to do here in Tennessee is go to Florida.
Yeah.
To get even hotter and even more humid. And so we are following suit. We're going to link up with some family down there soon. In fact, perhaps as this podcast is hitting the airwaves, you can just imagine me imagining that I'm relaxing on the beach while actually wrangling two children on the beach. That's probably what I'll do. No, but in all seriousness, the nice part about traveling with some family, get the grandparents involved. It's like, yeah, we'll all be together. Except my secret plan is to say, hey, you haven't seen your grandkids in so long. Here they are. Also,
I'll see you
bye.
Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. So that's when I make my escape.
Yeah.
Oh, they will come find you though. Just know this: as long as you have a cell phone blip emitting from your device, your parents will find you.
I take off the month of July as part of my rest, and I come from a family that single mom, 3 kids. We would vacation to family, go to Nashville a lot, but I don't have the vacation gene. Like I don't go like I have time off, I'm going to go to Paris or I'm going to go to New York. I don't like when I have time off, I'm just like, I'm going to go sit in that other room that I never get to sit in.
You're not planning in January for July.
No. Well, so okay. I go and I just sit there and just like feel things. But right now we're in the process of, I know this doesn't sound crazy. We're like reorganizing our house. And for once in my life, it is actually exciting. I feel good about getting rid of all this crap. So that is my break, but it is exciting.
Wait,
yes.
Can we pause for a second though? When you said you take off July, are you talking about the entire month of July?
So traditionally, yes. Okay. Not this year because I had to take off so much time for a baby and other stuff. But I do, I work with other podcasts, obviously, and we orient our entire year around 2 lengthy breaks. And originally I thought it was just for me because I was working so much. And then it turns out that everybody was thrilled to not have to think about their podcast for a month at a time. Once in July, once in December, early January. So this year will probably be 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
Have you always done this even focus on this?
This is a Michael Hyatt. He like said it out loud for himself. He's like, well, I'm going to take they're like this first sabbatical month or whatever. And I was like, oh, you can do that? And so I tried it. It started off as like 2 weeks and now it's sort of expanded out. But it's great. Guys, I just want to sit around.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I just want to sit around. I'm gonna be that old guy on the porch, just rocking and just enjoying a nice cold lemonade. That's what I want for my breaks. This is a long conversation about our vacations. There's a point to
I know.
this.
I'm ready. Let's sign off. I think people have gotten a good grip. I'm
Thank
ready.
you
Let's
for joining
go.
us. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, the listeners are like, it feels like you already are taking vacation right now during this recording.
We're just catching up. We don't get to talk that often. Well, today we're going to talk about the value in terms of your happiness, in terms of your productivity in unplugging, and what an unplugged vacation looks like.
Welcome to another episode of Focus on This, the most productive podcast on the internet. So you can banish distractions, get the right stuff done, and finally start loving Mondays. My name is Verbs, here with Blake Stratton, and of course, our producer, Nick Jaworski. Happy Monday to you both, gentlemen.
Happy Monday unto you, sir.
Happy Monday, Verbs. Blake.
Nick.
You're a professional person who helps people get the most out of their life. Do you want to tell us the first reason why perhaps unplugging on our vacation from unplugging from work has value for us?
Absolutely. The first reason is mental rejuvenation. Mental rejuvenation. A lot of times we think about rest or vacation and we just think about oftentimes we're physically tired. Maybe we've been working and it's just, I just want to rest. And we even associate rest with things like sleep. But there's such a tremendous benefit and a need, really, to rest your brain. There's this lie that we tell ourselves that the best way to reach my goal is to just keep going and to keep pushing. But at a certain point, there's a point of diminishing returns on that. And the more that you push your brain to think of new ideas or to figure out problems, we go, well, I can't rest because I haven't figured this out yet. And yet, ironically, the fastest path to figuring out the challenge in your business or your life or your work is to actually rest. Because when you're on vacation, actually unplugging from thinking about the problem, your brain can rest and rejuvenate. And when it does, it's wild how easily better ideas, better thinking can begin to flow naturally. This is maybe sneaky. My favorite thing about vacation is not always the activities of rest themselves. It's just how easy. It's almost like, there was a clog, so to speak, in my brain synapses or something like that. And then when I come back, it's like, the ideas are coming a little bit easier, a little bit faster. This problem felt like such heavy lifting before, but now it's coming a little bit easier. So mental rejuvenation is a huge reason to take an unplugged vacation.
Do people still do Wordles? Are we still doing that?
Someone is.
I do.
Somewhere. Someone on vacation is on Wordle.
I still do
now.
Wordles. And sometimes you'll go like, I'm going to put my first word in, blah. And you'll get 2 or 3 words in. And then you'll go, I don't know what this word is at all. Like, I've never seen whatever this is. Like, what is this X? What is this? And then I'll have to go to other work. And I'll come back to it an hour or 2 later. And I will immediately get the word. Like, I will go, I haven't been thinking about it past. I'll go, oh, yeah, it's, vague or whatever it is. And so it's sort of like that. Your brain just needs time. It's going to do its thing on its own. But you got to give it that time to process.
I think also what's important to underscore is this whole idea of mindfulness as well, because when we're in the day-to-day grind, thinking about the things we need to think about for that day, we never kind of pull back to that panoramic view of just what's going on in life. And so I think those vacation times, those intentional, pauses of getting outside of your normal activity and getting away to do something else, even if you have planned activities in another location, you're not in your normal kind of frame of life. And just to get out of those helps your mind think about other things other than work, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, Blake, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it normally takes us, at least a week to fully unplug in our mind from our work or our job cycle that we're always on and thinking about things back at the office. So as much as you can, as Nick has displayed, it is possible to stretch that time out to where you can allow yourself to taper down on that work matters, and then really start to settle in the vacation mode, and then really get to that rest and that mindfulness state that we all need to get to avoid burnout. Did I say that correctly, Blake? As far as kind of the idea behind longer vacations or just restful
Yeah,
moments that are
I mean,
planned.
again, I think that there's absolutely some truth to that. Those of you listening, if you have taken a week's vacation, sometimes you feel like the vacation started 4 days
Mhm.
in because that's how long it took for you to actually get there. But I think for those that for those that probably need to hear this message, taking a month off uh, may feel like, that's just impossible. That's just not feasible. As Nick said earlier, even with the Wordle thing, this principle about your brain help, even 15 minutes of a break in a day makes a difference. So incrementally from there, take what you can get. A busy person that has a lot of responsibilities, take what you can get. And while you're there, I think probably this is, if you don't have as much time as you would like, to begin to fill your mind with non-work activities. So if it's hard, for instance, to unplug, well, bring a paperback thriller or something. Take something to engage your mind elsewhere from the day-to-day rhythm and work that you're used to. Which brings us to the second reason to take an unplugged vacation: improved physical health. So it's not just your mental health that is going to benefit from this unplugged vacation, but physically, there's a cascading effect that's going to affect you positively in a physical, really tangible way.
Yeah, even as you're saying that, I'm thinking it back, and you hear these stories all the time of people who just get into a busy season of life. They start to not only feel stress, but then their physical body starts to read stress as well. I remember, for me, I was working in a role at a nonprofit organization. We were in the middle of a building kind of campaign and program, and I remember we're laying in my bed one morning and feeling like, oh man, I think I'm possibly having some sort of heart attack or something like that, because my chest was just had those palpitations. So I got up, drove myself, down to the ER, thinking, all right, they're surely going to say something's going on with my heart, and went through a whole battery of tests, only for the doctor to ask me, "Hey, what kind of work do you do? And then, are you stressed?" And I was like, yeah, I am kind of stressed." And he was like, "Well,
Mm.
that makes sense. We see it all the time." And so just the importance of, again, knowing when to press pause, and how do I orient my work life to where I have time where I can step out to regain whatever physical rejuvenation that needs to happen in those times. Because it's at some point or another, you're going to feel the physical effects of just all that busyness and all that pressure that's going on in the workplace.
There's also another element of physical health, which is that if you're at your desk all day, your body might hurt, like for
Mm.
real. And so then you leave your desk at the end of the day, you're taking, generic pain medicine, not to use a brand. You're and you're feeling bad, you're not sleeping as well as you could. And so I find that by the time like July comes, my body just needs to be in a different position for
Mm.
days on end. If I'm moving more, I'm out walking more, I'm not just stuck here at the desk. And so there's just an opportunity there. The toll that takes on your body and mind and sleep and energy every day is very real. And I think sometimes we don't even notice it. Like my arm hurts now above a certain angle. I just turned 40, and I'm like, this is my life now, I guess. I don't think it's gonna get any better. But that adds up. Like, just think, the more that hurts, the more I think about it, the more stressed I am, all those things. So get away from the desk.
So reason number 3 is vacations can be a time to connect. Think about some of your most valuable relationships, whether they're friends, whether they're family. This is a great time to where you're not hurried out of a conversation that you may feel hurried in any other time, because you have time set aside to just vacate. So it's a good time to connect with others and provide time to where you can create moments with those friends or with those family. Sometimes these stories could go many different ways when it comes to vacations, specifically with families. But do either of you have any kind of funny stories, any anecdotes around vacationing with family or friends?
Well, I don't know if it's a funny story, but I do want to give voice to how this might look in a low pressure situation. So for years, it hasn't happened the last couple of years, but for over a decade, some of my very dear friends and I make plans on New Year's Eve. Look, New Year's Eve sucks, guys.
What?
New Year's Eve is the worst holiday of all the
No
holidays.
way, man.
What do you?
You could
must-
have
Yes.
some champagne, fall asleep at 9:30.
Okay, there
Wake
you
up
go.
and
Tell
bang a
us your
pot in the
why.
pan.
Okay, so if that's how you're doing it, then great. But generally, especially when like you're in college and you're 20s and you're like everyone like tells you New Year's Eve is this thing, and it's dumb. Sorry, hot take. New Year's Eve is dumb, and so to avoid
For alert.
to avoid that, a bunch of years ago, some friends decided we were going to do our own New Year's Eve ritual or routine or tradition, which was to rent a cabin. We've gone to Kentucky, we've gone to southern Missouri, we've gone to Illinois, and you can rent a cabin cheaply in the off season, right? People want cabins during the summer. You want a cabin December 31st. Guess what? Great prices. And you go, and the rule is that you're not really allowed to leave the cabin for like 3 days. Like you're really supposed to stay in your pajamas, basically. Some people might go run or take a hike or whatever, but you just go and you play board games and people take turns cooking and stuff. And it's like the quietest, best time that you could possibly imagine. It's like so nice. It's so fun. We've had all kinds of fights over, what counts as a legal Scrabble word or whatever. But it really, it's such a nice thing. Now that we have more children in our lives and stuff, we have to call in a lot of favors from other family. Can you please take my children for like 18 hours and then my mom's gonna come by and pick them up for 12 and a half hours. Whatever we have to do, we make it happen. And so that's the kind of thing, that's like one of my favorite traditions that I have in my life, honestly, is those quiet New Year's Eve.
That's incredible. At first, when you started, it sounded like the plot of a horror film. When you said 3 days, nobody's allowed to leave, I was like, Lord have mercy, what happens next?
I would watch that movie.
You should make that movie, Nick. Actually, you should make that movie.
All right. Verbs, we're making that movie.
Let's do it.
That brings us to reason number 4, which is remembering your why. So, Blake, help us understand what's happening here. How do vacations help us remember our why?
This is connected to the first reason for me, which is that mental reset. Oftentimes, we are so caught up in the busyness of our day to day that we can lose sight of what it's all for and why it matters. So by removing yourself from the context of work, from the context of the daily repetitive responsibilities, you have this opportunity to really effortlessly elevate and see the big picture, to begin to reflect on your life as a whole. This is something that to me occurs naturally if I'm unplugged for really anything longer than a few days. It allows me to effortlessly begin to reflect and begin to understand sometimes the value of what I'm actually doing. For instance, I remember this was over a Christmas holiday type of vacation, and I had actually been planning on I was working really hard on this specific offer that I thought would really help my business. And as I just zoomed out and I unplugged for a little while, I was reflecting on why I was even doing a coaching and consulting business in the first place. And I remembered, oh yeah, it's because I really care about impacting people in this way. And I really care about developing freedom in this way. And the more I thought about it, I was like, wait a second, I don't know that this even really fits, because this is starting to seem more just like a means to an end type of a goal than a goal that's actually deeply meaningful to me. And so I think that can occur for you naturally when you take a vacation, is you have this opportunity to step away and to get some refreshment and begin to reconnect with your why. So that could help you edit some of your goals, which is great. But even if nothing changes about your goals, I find that when you enter back into your routines, you can do so with a bit more vigor, a little more intention, because of that connectedness, that renewed connectedness with your why.
So today's tip to level up your focus is take some time, think back on these 4 reasons that we discussed today in this episode, and set aside time to where you can plan a vacation for this year, and even how to include that vacation in your upcoming quarterly goals.
We talked about vacations today and we talked about unplugging, but guess what? We actually have something to help you do that. It is the Vacation Optimizer. You can download this for free at fullfocus.co/vacation, and it was going to help you define what you need in order to get away and feel good. It's going to give you some rejuvenation tips. It's got all the stuff you need. It's very simple. Sometimes the simple things can be the most powerful. So go check out fullfocus.co/vacation before you take your vacation so you make sure you're rested.
Thank you for joining us on Focus on This.
This is the most productive podcast on the internet, so share it with your friends, and don't forget to join us on Facebook in the Full Focus Planner community.
We'll be back next week with another great episode. But until then,
Stay focused.
Focused. Ooh.